Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is finally Fierce Female Friday, December 16th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our guest today is one of the sexiest, desirable, hot, and so much more adult entertainers and cosplayers, and he's also an activist as well too. Joining me here in the dollhouse, ladies and gentlemen, we have model, activist, adult film star Billy Short will be joining me. So let me go ahead and share this live, you guys, so that we can dive right into this conversation. We're going to have some fun today. It is Friday, y'all. Finally, the weekend. We made it throughout the week. It's been so busy, you guys. It has definitely been a busy week. I'm so excited. Make sure you guys share the live. I hope you all are doing amazing, TGIF. So without further ado, let's welcome our incredibly handsome, chocolate, model-like guest for this evening, Fashion Dolls, Mr. Billy Short. My hair is sticking up in the top. There we go.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm swell. How
Wonderful,
about yourself?
TGIF, and welcome to the dollhouse.
Yes, thank God it is Friday. I start my vacation
I know
today
you're
too.
excited, and the Christmas holidays is wrapped around the corner. Which brings me to the first question before we get into this interview, because we are now heading into the new year of 2023. If you could sum up 2022 in one word, what would that word be?
Yeah. 2022 in one word. Uh, that's actually hard. I would say, you know what? There it is. Hard. It was
Yes,
a hard year. Both, I'd say it was hard like physically, but it was also hard as in like, you know, we did stuff
it's
this
been
year.
a hectic year. It's been a lot. And I would say to add on to that, it's been an emotional roller coaster for all of us. Definitely.
Mm.
All right.
It's been up and
Yes, so
down,
many passings
but
and things. We'll get
clear.
into that. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up because you are fresh in the face. I was scrolling on Instagram and I seen this fine chocolate thing right here. He was doing some photography for Ian Do. Shout outs to Ian. Amazing photography, beautiful, stunning photography. So tell us, how did you get your start into the industry and the business, modeling and the adult film side?
So I I'm from Michigan originally, right? But now I live in New York, and I always kind of wanted to get into it, right? So my first steps to doing that was when I started doing casual modeling for a bar I worked at, where I was just on posters. I have some of them hanging up in my house now, actually. But that's where I started, I guess, officially. Unofficially, I also started doing casual escorts right when I was putting myself through college, as you do. And then slowly but surely, I've always had a fascination with porn in general. So I began to realize, because my thing, right, I always told people, I was like, I'm going to grow up and be a stripper. It's because that was the vibe, that was the energy. I loved that scene. Unfortunately, rhythmically, little challenge. So I couldn't really dance that well. Um, but in other ways, I had some talent. So I started on my own, doing my amateur stuff. I film, edit, and star in pretty much everything I do. I had went to school for cinematography anyways, so that's where I went to, in that regard. Then the more I started building, the more it started getting traction, and the more traction, the more people coming through. And then when I moved here, I already had a platform, right? And then from that platform, I met people who, like, I met photographers that I work with. You mentioned Ian Do. I also shoot pretty regularly with M Focus, and I also shoot with James Reynolds. I go all about, right? So I try to keep it going, but I guess it was always
Yeah.
just a fascination. So fascination me to it.
Okay. Okay. And the photography with Ian is absolutely stunning. That's how I found you actually. And I reached out and I said, oh, I got to have him on the show. So with that being said, here we are. Now, I know it's difficult being in this business because I've had a couple adult film stars on this platform. Shout outs to Romance. Me and Romance have developed our romance because we love fashion and he loves fashion. So that's how it tied into it perfectly. We had such a great time. So we don't discriminate here on this talk show, on this platform. But I'm curious to know, because I know your parents, growing up in Michigan and things like that, what was your family's reaction? Did you tell them?
Oh yeah, well, my everyone kind of knew, right? I'm not gonna say
Right.
like I was the golden child because I wasn't, but I was the oldest AMAB grandson, right? So there was a lot of eyes on me. Doing so because of that, I wasn't the oldest grandchild, but I was there, so like I kind of had already a role of. It's weird to say paternal when we're all kids, right? But like taking care of everybody. But in doing so, they learn about me probably the most because I'm the one who talks to everybody the most. So like I never like for instance, I never really came out. I was just like, by the way, I sleep with everybody now, and everyone's like, that makes sense based off of what you do. And similarly, I was like, by the way, I do porn now. And everyone's like, that makes sense based on you. I did have the benefit of my mom used to be a sex worker back in the day, right? So she was a stripper. So she's always pretty accepting. She just wants me to make sure to take care of myself, obviously, right? But yeah, no, I'm all about this. Ooh,
Oh,
sorry, reading the chat
yeah,
too. But
yes,
no, they
participate. They love you. So, yes,
and
more than welcome
I was like,
to.
hey,
um, so that's wonderful.
but
That go ahead. I'm sorry.
it, oh no, you're good. My sibling also does drag and burlesque too, so we're all kind of in that
And
space,
that's
anyways.
amazing. That's remarkable to know that your family is supporting of it and they're wanting you to be safe. Because being in the LGBTQ plus community for us being, sex workers out here, we have to make sure that we're staying protected on all ends, on all ends. So with that being said, I'm gonna trickle into something else. It kind of ties into something else as well too, your activism. And I want to applaud you for that because I also have been very vocal on issues that affects us as POC, as people of color. Now, I might not speak about it all the time, but I'm always watching and I have an opinion and I've said certain things. I don't know if you've seen Monday's show, but me and my girls, we did a panel and it was all black women. It was 5 of us. And we were just talking about things that we've encountered. We talked about colorism. Now, I know I'm going to go back to the adult entertainment side because I know with you working in that field that there is racism and there is colorism. And I remember one of the legendary adult film stars, Shawn Michaels, talked about racism that he's encountered in the industry. So, what advice would you tell people that are looking to get into this multi-million-dollar business because you're going to experience racism no matter what scale or what platform or film company you decide to go to?
Yeah, no, I am an activist by trade, right? So it's hard to not say things. I'm
Right.
always gonna say something. I would say that's also probably why I'm still amateur, right? I was offered to join a company once, and then they started talking about what they wanted me to do, and I was like, "Ooh, yes, we love a stripper in Atlanta. I see that." But no. So for me, like they offered me a position, but then they're like, based on your height, based on your skin tone, based on the size of your dick, this is what we want you to do. And I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that. So because of that, I make my own stuff how I want to make it. Granted, saying that there are, and this is no way kink shaming either. There are people who like, I know sex workers who are like, I do kinks that I don't necessarily agree with, but you're going to pay
Right.
me for that kink, right? So I would say, firstly, if you're getting into modeling, if you're getting into sex work, if you're getting into any kind of gig like that, make sure that you've got a good mental support system. It's because there are bad days I have and there are good days I have. I've got, as I call my peeps, I call them the shorties. I've got shorties who moderate for me when I go live, right? And they check in on me.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can tell I'm upset even if I don't say anything, right? So I've got them helping me out. It's also about how I go through my stuff. I make sure that I don't do porn that I don't agree with, right? I'm a tacky person, so I'm gonna make jokes when I do it, right? So I have a massage series because I love massage videos. So I'm like, that's what I do. But inversely, one of the big things is I don't do race play. That's me.
I'm
No
gonna get
shame
to
to
that.
anyone who's into it. First, yep, like my thing is with every kink, deconstruct your kink, right? It's why it exists. Granted, I don't do that, so when people ask me for it, I'm like, no thanks. And that's just a mental. That's a self care thing that I do. Like if someone asks me to do a kink that I'm not into, I'm like, no. Inversely, at the same time, my puppy, he's on my page. You might see him, Pup Sai. He is also a black sex worker in the industry. And fun fact, a lot of people, because he is very light skinned, they just automatically assume he's white, and then they give him a lot of weird commentary, weird this, weird that, da 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 da. Then he takes the hood off, and you look at his face, and they're like, "Oh no!" And then it gets even weirder
Mhm.
after that, right? So it's a time to be had,
I don't
that's for
know if you,
sure.
again, I don't know if you seen my panel Monday. One of my girls on the panel, Rikay, kind of touched on this, and this is so taboo for me. I know a lot about the adult entertainment business, just a little bit, but I see the racism and the standpoint of what entertainers have to go through behind the scenes. Now, you guys know Nico's Aesthetics on YouTube. He talks a lot about what goes on in the adult entertainment business on the OF side, on the JFF side, and on the Twitter side of all of these adult content creators and racism that they've experienced and encountered. Now, race play, I'm gonna get to that. There's a certain adult entertainer out here that caught some backlash for doing a spoof of Black Panther. If you know, you know. I don't have to call his name. If you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. And he signed with certain companies that are predominantly, how can I say it, that are predominantly white companies. And they cater to this. This is the type of stuff that they cater to. It's in a way it's like a fetish. Like for certain people to want to work with trans performers. It's fetishization in a way. It's fetishization. That's what it is. And I think that that type of content is disgusting because we as POC have endured this for 400 years and have to relive that in that moment just for a scene. It's I don't know. I can't even put a name on it. But I had to touch on that. I'm glad you touched on it because it does happen in this business and in this industry. Even for me being mainstream in the talk show side as a openly black trans woman, we've seen our girl T.S. Madison even encounter it and endure it when she got her platform on Foxhole. And I've experienced on both sides of the coin from some in the LGBTQ and then some in the cisgender community. I've, encountered from colorism to racism. And we'll get to colorism because we know that that's also a thing in the business as well too, not just in the fashion world mainstream, but in the adult entertainment side. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with or watch Real Housewives of Potomac. I put something in my story today that's probably going to rattle a few feathers. I said I would never give my platform to anybody who's out here being colorist or making colorist remarks. Now we're seeing what they're doing to Dr. Wendy on Real Housewives of Potomac. So even in the adult entertainment aspect, I wanted to ask you this, Billy, colorism. What are your thoughts? Because there's another content creator, I don't have to call his name, who wanted to work with only certain adult film stars that had a certain complexion of a lighter hue. If you know, you know.
See, so that's the bit, right? So it's a wonky trade-off. It's because, like you said, and as you should understand, like I said earlier, deconstruct your kinks. You can be into something, but understand where it comes from, right? So in terms of that regard, like
Yes.
colorism exists, right? I um I know it affects me, right? I know it affects my work, and I know it also affects the people who watch my stuff. They're like, hey, there's people who watch my stuff, and they don't listen to anything I say. They don't listen to any of my. Give me one
You're
second. One
good.
second. I'll be right back. Hang on.
Thank you for joining in.
Okay, but yeah, no, they don't listen to what I say. They don't listen to any of this. They're like, I'm watching this because this guy puts me in the mind of my fetish. You know what? That's just a product of doing what I do, right? But with colorism specifically, I kind of touched on this earlier, right? My pup Sai is a light skinned black man, right? So people view him differently than they view me. And similarly, I'm not gonna call it any names, but one time I went to a photo shoot, right? It's the darkest one there, and they put me in the back, hidden behind everybody else. It was all black men, by the way, all queer black men, but like I was put in the back, and then all the light skinned guys were up front. So I can see it affects. I see it happens. It happens all the time, and it's unfortunate. Similarly, make sure you have good mental space, and at the same time, that's why I try and keep my stuff. I try to keep my stuff varied, right? Because what I did specifically this year, actually, since we're talking about 2022 and we're coming to an end, this year I made it my pact for New Year's resolution. I was like, I'm only making porn with POCs specifically, but also I'm trying to look for different kinds of people, right? It's because if we have if I have a variety, then suddenly it's harder to fetishize
Right.
what you're looking for, right? Which is like, and it sucks, right? It's because there's certain porn videos like with porn stars that I love. I can't watch the video. It's because it's got a narrative. Even if they don't say it, you know that it's there. That will turn me off, to be honest. So I try to keep it good. Also, thank you. I appreciate that. I
Opportunity.
see the chat rolling. Um, yeah, no, it's a whole experience, and it has its ups, it has its downs. Specifically with colorism, like I said, this year I made it my goal to make sure. First of all, I try to make sure I get all different types of people. It's because I think porn should have
And
all kinds of different types of people. I know that I'm a 6 foot, dark skinned black guy, so there's people who are specifically looking for me, but I, sorry, not me, my body type, but I try to cater it to the people who are specifically looking for me. I'm like, if you want me to do something like this and you want me to do it, now you're not just like fetishizing the idea of me, then sure, I'll do it. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm flexible like that. I do have some hard stops, and that's just life, right? If you ask me to do something I don't
you're
want to do, I'm
right.
like, yeah,
And that's your
no
thing.
thanks.
You as a performer, you have the right to say, I don't feel comfortable doing this type of content. And people see, um, I think it was someone, I can't remember who it was, in the business, in the adult business, said this. People see, the sex, they see the intimacy, they see all of these things, but mentally, the performers, when they go home offset, what they have to go through and what they're battling with behind the scenes. You never know. So mentally, you have to find yourself in that right space. So mental health ties into it as well too. Preparing for a scene can also be hard because you have to make sure that you get in that mood, get in that moment. So it's a lot that goes into it with being in the adult entertainment business. 100%. And yeah, it is a certain stigma for black male performers in that business. For women, it's easy, a little bit easier. But if you're a black male performer, you're prone to experience some sort of discrimination.
Oh yeah, no, it's real. It's like a whole thing, right? I tell people this all the time, but like when you type in a person's name or a porn video, right, and then you see the title, they may have
Right.
someone's name in it, but my name wouldn't be there, right? It's either gonna be the bottom's name, or it's gonna be if you're doing straight porn, it's gonna be the woman's name. But and then like every now and then you see the top's name, but you have to search. Like as if you look like me, you have to search. I saw one person once. I was like, I love this guy. I want to see more of him. And you couldn't find him anywhere. No one knew his name. He was in 13 different videos, and I went through from I was on X videos for an hour. And I finally found his name. I found his page, and I was like, "Thank you. I'm looking for this particular guy, and everyone knows who he is." But in the description, it's either, well, first of all, X videos and porn video descriptions sometimes just be downright racist, right? it'll be like Black Thug does this. I'm like, well,
Right.
chill out. I'm like, can we call him by his name 5 seconds? Because I would like to find it. But yeah, it's a
All
whole
right,
bit.
now let's get into your activism because for LGBT people, I don't know if you've seen it. Our president just signed the legislatures to protect same-sex marriage, which is amazing because I don't even have to get into the logistics of it. We've seen what they tried to do and take away our rights to marriage, our rights to freedom, and take away women's rights also as well too, and LGBT people's rights to their bodies. So I'll just say this. I'm happy. I'm in a happier place. And it's because of people like you, Billy, and all of us, the Hope Giselles, the Blossoms, the Ashley C. Prestons, the T.S. Madisons, all of us who are in Laverne Coxes who are using our voices amplified to say, okay, if you're going to take this away from us, we're not having it. We're going to continue to be vocal and say, this is what we need. So thank God that he signed that act so that it could protect same sex marriage and marriage equality. Because I remember back in the day, it wasn't so easy for same sex couples to get married. For us in general, we would have to go all the way to DC, and they would have to register and things like that. But now to be able to get married in all 50 states is awesome. Love is love. Let people love who they want to love. You can't take that right away from someone. So I want to applaud you on that and your activism because I know you had somewhat of an input on that as well too. It's not only that, but racism and with brutality and things like that and such. You've also been vocal about that as
Oh,
well.
yeah. So for me, right, my activism really kicked off back in good old 2016, 2017-ish. That's back when I was a reporter, right? And being a reporter just meant I had an outlet to rant about stuff, right? I'd be like, "Hey, y'all, sex workers' rights are rights." My main stuff I talked about race relations, gender norms. I talked about sex work, and I talked about LGBTQI plus rights, right? And that started me on the hill, right? And then now my day job is I do sexual health, right? So
Yes.
HIV awareness and prevention. Funny because like whenever someone asks me, I'm like everything I do is related to sex at this point, and I think that's positive. I know some people think it is negative. I'm like, no, this is what I love to do. I'm like, I'm doing it in every way. So saying that, I use my platform where I am to make sure I bring up some stuff that needs to be talked about, right? It'd be a shame. Thank God we've got current legislation going in the right direction because like 2 weeks ago they were ranting about drag this, and I was like, what, how are you I live in New York, right? Have you all heard of Drag Queen
Yes.
Story Hour, right? Drag Queen Story Hour is amazing, and literally the we had for National Coming Out Day we had Harmonica, who is with Drag Queen Story Hour, come to an event where she read a book and it was just explaining what it even is to be non-binary. We had people in the audience tearing up. I'm like, you see, this is what happens when we just. I'm like, it's an experience that we're all feeling, and everyone's like, well, drag is this drag. I'm like, drag can literally be anything. Number one. Number two, I love that there are people out there like Harmonica who are using their platform to also educate, right? It's like, hey, I love who I am. Let me help you love who you are, right? Or not even just show you that it can exist. One of the things sorry, I'm going on right now, but like recently it was in November, right? It was Transgender Awareness Week. And for my job, my day job, we make TikToks, right? So we made a TikTok interviewing people, being like, "What are you doing to celebrate? What advice would you give to trans youth?" And one of their advice they gave was literally existing past the age of like 18 and existing in work environments where people may not see themselves, right? Like they said, seeing a trans person in like STEM, right, might be like, oh, so I'm not the only one, right? So just being that role model in any way I can. Granted, I do make a lot of bad jokes all the time, but at the same time, I'll make a bad joke on my Twitter, and then 5 seconds later, I'll be like, hey, everybody, it's National HIV Awareness Day? How about we
Education,
go learn our status, right? For
exactly.
World AIDS Day. Yes, for World AIDS Day on December 1st, I went to 3 separate conferences and ranted about the intersectionality about being a priority demographic, right? What that means is like, I am a black pansexual man, right? So they're like, hey, you are at a higher risk to do this, this, and that. And I'm like, but I'm also a sex worker, which makes me even more higher risk. I don't really like that term. That's why I use priority demographic. But I tell people, I'm like, well, this is how you've done it wrong to me. So how about we make it better for them, right? So it's baby steps, but we're getting there. I try and incorporate it every way I can. Well, I do love to talk about myself, but at the same time, I do love that my story can also enlighten or even just make someone feel seen
And
sometimes,
we kind
right?
of got a question that ties into that as well too. Shout outs to my Island Yankee, my fraternal. He wants to know 2 things. Is your activism to make things easier for the now or future generations? And being in your field of work, do you think people want you for you or for the experience?
So I'd say it's always
Mhm.
for the future, right? You can only do so much in the present. Granted, we live in the
Right,
present, so I find myself, right, getting stuck in the
right.
future. Like, that's why I'm on vacation now, right? My day job, I was too obsessed with what we could be that it was actually putting a hamper on my mental health. So I was like, you know what? Need a break. Need to exist in the now right now. But even in existing in the now, I'm always going to be like, someone might hear this, and then in the future, they might utilize it. So yeah, I'm always looking forward. Um, I would like for change to happen now. I know that change is also not necessarily something that happens right away. Um, so I understand that it might take time. And then the second question, right? I think that I have a strong following of people who are here genuinely for me, right? I've got, for instance, I've got my pup, not Pupsai, another pup, my pup named Midwest Pup, who has been with me since I started, uh, and has literally changed their attitudes about things, has changed how they do things, has also taken some of the stuff utilize and implemented it in the jobs that they have, right? And there's people like that who are there from day one. I've got my moderator for my when I go live stream, right? Oracle, as I call them because I'm a comic book nerd. But I was like, Oracle is someone who's been there since day one. They check in on me. I check in on them. I think there are people who are here for me, and I appreciate that. Which means if I make a video and I pour my heart and soul into it and make it really good, they're here for my video, and I'm gonna make sure it's good for them. Granted, there are some people who are just there because they're horny, and I have no shade to that. I'm like, there you go. So there are some people who, and it's unfortunate, right? But I see it. I try to view it as a positive. Sorry, New York life. But I try to view it as a positive. But there are some people who are showing up because they're trying to get something out of from me, and maybe it's not something I can provide, or maybe it's not something that I'm offering at that time. Sucks, but at the same time, I think I get more people who are genuinely here for me, and I'm there for them. So I just keep it moving, right?
Absolutely. 100%. Let me see. We got another question. Are you more of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X activist?
X. I love King. I love King. I love both of them, to be honest, but X. I think that, first of all, I wrote a thesis in college about those two, about how when their viewpoints changed, suddenly they needed to be assassinated. I'll take my tinfoil hat off again. But I would say that what was the greatest robbery is that towards the end of their lives, unfortunately, they were coming to an agreement to
Mhm.
work together. And that's when they were assassinated. It sucks. But you know, X. I'm always more X. I'm like, hey, hear me out. I think King did wonders for our community, and I think X did wonders for our community. But sometimes you gotta say that's
Right.
enough, right? Like, for instance, don't use my trauma as a method to get likes, right? So if I'm going to a panelist and for instance, if you go to a panel and you're the only one not getting paid and you're the only one there that is a black gay man and it's for HIV AIDS and Awareness Day, yeah, that's a weird flex. I'm like, you can't utilize me and my trauma, and I get it. Sometimes people need to see that to have their emotions change, but I'm like, I'm a firm believer of, nah, it's, yeah, you have no right to it. So saying that, yeah, I can be militant sometimes, and I say that as a positive. I'm like, I can be a militant person. It's because sometimes you have to be militant in order to get things done. I'm militant with my porn too. When people ask me about stuff, I'm like, no, that costs money. And then they are like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you can't support sex work until it's time to hit the bill, right? If you support sex work, support sex work. I follow in a numerous amount of sex workers. I'm on their OnlyFans pages. I'm on their Just for Fans pages. The other day, I was at a party and someone was trying to explain to me this website that gives out like people on OnlyFans that gives out their content for free because like someone's stealing, downloading it. And I kept saying, oh, what's it called? What's it called? And the dude thought that I was trying to get it so that I could watch it. And halfway through the conversation, he realized I was about to report that site. And by then he had already told me. I was like, nah, bro, that's fucked up. If these people aren't giving this to you for free, then you don't deserve it for free, right? So that's why I'm like, I'm more X. I'm gonna raise my pitchfork and be like, no, enough's enough. If you're not listening, then I'll make you listen. We'll
And
get there.
everyone has to make a profit at the end of the day because people have mouths to feed, literally. And you said you literally started in this business to pay your way through college, and look at you now. It's been successful. Some people literally have to figure out a way to make money, and sometimes this is the only resort. So there's nothing wrong with it. There's no shame in it. 100%. At the end of the day, just like with when you're working in retail, that person has to make a commission, and then sales going to have to make a commission. So it works both ways. They can't just get it for free.
You know, you can't get it for free. And then on top of that as well, if you can't afford it, that's fine. I told someone I was teaching a LGBTQ plus relationships workshop. We call it the
Yeah.
cuffing season because it was cuffing season, right? So we were teaching about this and whatnot, and everyone was talking about how with open relationships they want, like, for instance, they start fetishizing people. Like, well, I want to, and one of the big ones right now is a lot of people who are like, I want to bring a third into the bedroom, and I want it to be a trans woman or a trans man. I'm like, well, hang on, let's dissect that, right? And what I tell people, what I told them at that workshop, I'm like, if you really want that, guess what? You can just hire a sex worker. It's because people aren't sex toys, neither are sex workers. But if you want this, and this is something this person provides, why don't you hire them instead of traumatizing this person who you're using, and then you're like, well, that was an experience, now get out, right? I'm like, if you're bringing a third into the bedroom, you got to have that stuff. You got to have it set up, right? You have to talk to that person. You can't just bring them in and cut them off because then that's not healthy. But then on top of that, like I said, you can also hire a sex worker. And granted, if a sex worker says they don't do that, move on, right? I'm 100% positive there are sex workers out there who do race play. Just because I don't do it, you can go find a different one. uh, no shade to those who are doing that, but I'm like, that's kind of that's the gist of it.
Absolutely. 100%. All right. So outside of your activism and being a sex expert with, giving people information and things they need to stay safe, outside of that, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do outside of filming? Because I know you do cosplay, and I see the comic books in the back. And did you see the latest Black Panther? I wanted to know your thoughts on that. The second sequel to Black Panther.
Oh, I saw it because I love me some Black Panther. My thoughts on it, I won't spoil it. Don't worry, anybody. My thoughts on it is I think that it was a movie that really captured its characters. Its plot could have used a little bit of work, but at the same time, that there was an unfortunate there's an unfortunate loss in the community. So you have to adjust. You have to make that right. So but to answer your question, I do cosplay, which I love, and then I also collect and read my comics. So that's going on. I went to school for writing and cinematography, right? So I'm officially trying to get my book going again. Because I started it back in 2020. Actually, I started it in 2019. And then 2020 is when I stopped writing it. It's because, I mean, the Rona happened. So everyone, we all had that wide, community-wide isolation and community-wide depression that kind of came from it, being stuck and trapped by yourself. So I'm getting back into writing though, trying to finish my book. We'll see what happens. Collect my comics, I read my comics, and then I do my cosplay. Sometimes it's sexy cosplay, sometimes it's just cosplay. I collect my figurines as well. So,
Listen, I was
like,
gonna ask.
here's my Storm pinup. Yep, I've got a bunch of Storm paraphernalia. It's because she's one of the best comic book characters, and I will fight you on that. I'll fight anyone on that. Storm is amazing. And then lastly, I play my video games. That's about it. I edit my siblings' drag videos and or film my siblings' drag videos. It's because I still love cinematography, so I try and get in and do that when I can. I even bring my cinematography to when I do porn. Like when people are like, "Oh, you want to do it?" I'm like, "Well, if I'm gonna do it, I want it to look like something I would watch." So no shade again to people. Some people like the more amateur videos. I've made the more amateur videos too. Everything I do is amateur, by the way. But I like to add a little bit of edit to it just because I'm like, hey, this is what I like to watch. So every porn video I make is something that I'm going to watch. And maybe it's vain, but when I edit my porn, I'm like, I could watch this. This is good. Right? I could
Yes,
get off to this.
and we've seen the Twitter, so I'm fanning myself because it's hot. But oh my God! But back to what you were saying about comics. There's very few black comic book characters. Like I mean, you had Earth the Kid. Earth the Kid did Catwoman. Holly Berry did Storm, and
I
then
was
she also did Catwoman as well too. Like it's very few and very little. Could we possibly see you inventing your own comic book character? And if you had a choice, what would you name?
So I have multiple, right? Firstly, just to bring some light, right? Here we go. So we've got Luke Cage and then also the newest Green Lantern, Joe Mulligan. Two amazing black comic book characters. Joe is new and Far Sector is amazing. It's written by N.K. Jemisin. Pick it up. Give it a read. It's great. It's genuinely a good book. But granted, I want to be a comic book writer. I write comic book scripts every now and then. I used to do my little doodles back in the day. And I'm not going to lie, maybe this sounds like Jordan Peele, but I've seen the white heroes. All of my comic book characters would be black. All the main ones. I mean, there'd be white characters in there too. But if I could have my dream, right, and make a comic book that I want to produce, right? For those of you who do read comics, we got our glorious Blue Marvel, right? So Blue Marvel was created in 2008. He is basically, they said, what if the strongest superhero in the world was a black man and he debuted in the 60s, right? And he wore a full face mask. No one knew who he was. So they kept worshiping. Well, one day he got in a big fight. His mask tore. Someone saw his face, found out he was black, and then JFK comes to him and says, hey, during this movement, the civil rights movement, we really don't want it to cause any strife. So he retired.
Mhm.
And he said, you know what? Bet. Unfortunately, as soon as he retired, It's actually addressed in this book, which just came out by Al Ewing. But as soon as he retired, naturally JFK was shot, and then they just kept him underground until they needed him to return. So Adam Brashear, the Blue Marble, is amazing. But that's not exactly where I was going with that. I want to do that version of the comic, but I want it to be based off of, not even based off of, but kind of follow the first half of the Hancock movie with Will Smith. I think that that movie has so much potential, and it loses me. I think number one, Jason
Yeah.
Bateman character, the in that movie, I think that should not be a white character because then you fall into the white savior role. I think that Charlize Theron, great actress, doesn't need to be in that movie. I think they need to work on that second act and instead capture what they had in the first act, where it was a man, a black man, whether you want it to be or not, who has all of the superpowers. No one else in the world has superpowers, but he has superpowers, and he's trying to save the world because it's the right thing to do, but he's not necessarily doing it. Like, he doesn't have a good PR team, and then someone comes in and acts as a PR team and helps change his image, and then that's such an idea, right? It's such an idea. It's because people would still hate him. It's just because he's a black man with power, right? So that's the story I would want to write. I want to rewrite that Hancock movie so bad. Hell, you could even cast Will Smith in it and do the same thing, right? Just not the same thing, but you could cast him in it now and just have it, and it might even be a little bit better because he is older now, and he could be jaded, right? He could be like, "I'm going to help these people, and they're going to complain no matter what." And then you got a young millennial telling him, "Well, let's just work on that image." It's the age of the social media. Honestly, rewatch Hancock and put it in this like 2020s. That is money. And if anyone does do that from this chat,
Right.
I want my credit.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know if you guys know or not, but you guys remember the show Living Single? Max, Erica Alexander, she created a comic book company, and it's inclusive. It's all black comic book characters. So shout outs to her. That's what we need. Representation is key. So I agree with you on
Ooh.
wanting to make the characters black. And Marvel has gotten some backlash, for not being inclusive with some of their characters or including POC actors that are POC people of color and LGBT. There's always some sort of pushback for Marvel. So, create your own. And that's why I asked.
Yeah, no. I've got my characters I want to make, and again, this is no shade. I love Superman. I love Batman. I mean, I know I have a pup. I mentioned pup side, but I am also a pup, and my pup's name is Ace. He's named after the Bat Hound, right? So it's Ace the Bat Hound. I love these characters. At the same time, if I were to make comic books, they'd just be black characters. They'd be black. They'd be gay. They would be openly so, right? Not that whatever that happens at Disney and Marvel. It's like, here's this gay character that casually touches her wife's shoulder at the end of the movie. If you saw Black Panther, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, no, give me something, right? I'm not saying that you need to make every character like the gay stereotype in the
Right.
other movies. Ooh, sorry. Like back in the early 2000s, I don't want that either. But like this new age of being like, well, that character is gay. You just didn't know. I'm like, well, I want to know, right? That's the bit.
Absolutely. 100%. All right. So we're going to get into some holiday fun here with Billy, ladies and gentlemen. Are you guys ready? So we have two games. The first one is called the Rapid Five Holiday Edition. And then the next one is called Holiday This or That. And I'm going to give Billy here two choices. And he has to choose whether he's going to keep one item or toss it. And the first one, he has to give me five things that he can't live without for the Christmas holidays. Because as we know, it's like Christmas is right around the corner. You have next week, and then before you know it, Christmas is Sunday. So let's start off with the holiday edition of Rapid Five. What are five things that Billy can't live without for the Christmas holiday?
Okay, so for the Christmas holiday, I'm gonna say I need the squad. I'm gonna just total them all up in one thing. Cause I love chilling with my squad. I love being with my squad. And I love it when we go out. I love it when we hang out. I love it when we watch movies. It's a vibe. So that's cheating, but I need that. I'm gonna need my music. I don't care if it's on headphones. I don't care if it's on my record player. I don't care if it's coming out on TV. I'm gonna need some music. It's because music makes the world go round. Um, Number three, gonna need my fleshlight. Just because I gotta take care of myself sometimes. So I'm gonna need that for the quiet moments. Number four, let's say I'm gonna need. I know I already said music, so I'll say I'm gonna need my PlayStation because that way I can play my games. And last time I need at least two or three comic books, thick ones, not just the single issues. I'm gonna need a trade so that I can read it, and that's it. I'm be set. I'd be set
All
and
right.
done for
That
the
is his
holidays.
Rapid Five Fashion Dolls, his Rapid Five Holiday Edition. And you started off with your squad. Yeah, family, friends, being around family and friends around this time of year is everything for me. I turn into a kid all over again during the Christmas movies. I've already
Yeah,
done my shopping, got everything I wanted this year, so I'm quite content. And it came on time. It came before the Christmas holiday, so I'm quite happy. Thank God. All right. So here's
we
the
love that.
next one, holiday, this or that. So I'm going to give Billy here two choices, and they're all holiday related. And you have to tell me if you're going to keep or toss. All right, so let's start it off. Now, a lot of people got into a debacle over this one in the comments. So I'm just going to start off with this one. Real tree or fake tree?
All right, hear me out, right? If you say real tree, have you ever had a carpet with a real tree? It's because those pine needles will be there for the rest of your life. Granted, I have hardwood floors, so I could get away with it, and I'm still gonna say fake tree.
And whereas if a real tree, you're these pine needles, you're just gonna be sweeping and vacuuming, and it's like the real tree, try to put it away, it's gonna wilt, and just imagine if it gets water on it. Whereas if a fake tree, you can go year
Yeah,
round every Christmas year, and you take it down and put it in a box, whatever, fold down the branches, and then you're good to go. My art teacher, bless her soul. She's still alive and living, but I say bless her soul because she gave me one of the biggest Christmas trees ever, and it was a 7 foot tree. We could not fit it in our house as much as we could. So we literally had to sit it on the porch, our little sun porch outside, and decorate it. And it was beautiful. To watch it drive up in the yard and then just see the tree from a mile away. It was beautiful. It was a lot of work taking that tree down, but it was a 7 foot tree, and those trees are huge. It was massive. I'm saying we're not going to be able to fit this in the house. So we had to literally sit it outside on the porch, and it was a fake tree. So I would much prefer that than a real tree because pine needles you'll be sweeping forever. They yes, people like them for the smell and everything, but just buy yourself a candle that smells similar to it.
yeah. Get yourself your little holiday themed candle. You can get the sweet pine
Yeah.
air thing. Put it on the tree. Go. We've got tall ceilings here in New York, right? So I was going with a friend to buy a tree, and he goes like, "I think I want a 10 foot tree." I was like, "For what? A 10 foot tree? Where are you gonna put it?" But to be fair, our ceilings in here are like 12 feet high, so you could theoretically fit it there. But I'm like, for
10 foot, that's
what?
like
I've
Rockefeller.
got my little.
My God.
I know. I'm like, what? Are you gonna have the ball drop here too?
Okay, here's the second choices: broken tree lights or old Christmas cards. Which one would you keep and which one would you toss?
Hear me out. Are the broken? Is the whole string of lights broken or
There
just
could
one?
be a few broken on the set of lights, and then you have some that'll work where some people will still toss them anyway and just buy new lights. But what would be your choice?
See, I would probably keep the lights, cause shockingly, we made our tree this We made our tree about a week ago, and guess what's on that tree right now?
Okay.
Some broken lights, but they still, you know. So I'm not complaining. We made do. We got it up
All
there.
right. Here's the second set of choices: excess ornaments or unwanted novelty gifts. And you guys know A Christmas Story is one of my favorite Christmas movies. So you know that leg lamp that the wife dreaded that did not fit with the decor in the house. Because you know, women, we have with my mom, I think the decor fever has rubbed off on me where it comes out to picking certain things for decorating the house. And it just doesn't fit. That would be considered a novelty gift. So for you, an unwanted novelty gift or access ornaments, which one would you keep and which one would you toss?
Access. I'm keeping the access ornament everywhere, right? So I, if I can't hang it on, fit it on the tree, I can hang it on the wall. We go hard in this house for Halloween, for Christmas. We decorate. I mean, to be fair, we have our pride flags up
Mm.
year round, but you know, we go. I'm gonna keep it, and I'll hang it up somewhere, and then it'll be there until probably the end of
All
January.
right, all right. Okay, now here's the blunder. Well, we got yeah, four more choices. Okay, here's the first set. Um,
Gotcha.
we know that people love holiday desserts for the holidays. All right, and you're in New York, so if you grew
Mm-hmm.
up Jamaican, you know what the first choice is. Okay, now my audience got into a blunder over this one. Fruit cake, or do you guys remember those little tin can cookies that's got the assorted flavor of cookies, the blue can? That everyone, yeah, growing
Oh,
up
yeah.
has those. So what would be your choice? Which one would you keep or toss? The tin can of cookies or the fruit cake?
It depends on who makes that fruitcake, right? It's because I actually don't eat a lot of cake in general. I don't like, what is it, rich stuff, right? So I don't eat cake or brownies or anything like that. I used to, but I lost my sweet tooth because I used to have a big sweet tooth. But I would say I'd probably keep the cookies, the tin can cookies, just because of the
Yes.
nostalgia alone. Because I don't care what it is, someone's brought them. You could be at a work party and you'll see
In
those
the blue
cookies there.
can, yes. And someone said that yesterday. I think it was Jar Tucker. He said this. He said, "You don't know if the cookies are stale or whatever." Listen, I get me some milk with those cookies, and you're set to go. I love them. My mom, she would buy them sometimes, and then you keep the container, and sometimes you would put change in it or whatever. All right. So here's the big one.
Yeah.
Here's the big one, and all got into a blub over
Mm,
this one for the past few weeks as well. Okay. When it comes to picking out a gift for
ready.
someone, do you buy something that their heart's desires? That's the first choice. Or do you give them a gift card?
I would say this also depends, right? Like on the person, if I can tell what you want, I'm buying it. Now, there are some people where it's like they may just
Right.
take the gift card. Now, I've already said last game that I'm bringing my squad. I know my squad, so if that's the case, heart desire. I know what they want. I'll get you something that you want. Now, if it's someone that I truly don't know what they want, I'll just give you cash. Well, I suppose it's not cash; it's a gift card too, right? That changes things. So you can get that Amazon gift card. Go get do like me. I bought my little MF Doom rings with a gift card that someone gave me. So I've got these now. That was my little Christmas gift to myself. Well, to be fair, it wasn't because I got a gift card from someone. This was someone else's gift, little Christmas gift to
Okay.
me.
So definitely. All right. Now the Christmas holidays also, the airports are gonna be packed. What would be your choice? Now, you either choose to fly home or have family come to visit you. What would be your choice?
Hmm. Well, I it sucks. I'd be paying ridiculous price for the tickets, and also the airport at a holiday. Oof, that'd be horrendous. But I'd probably fly home. Mostly because I rarely go home anyways. So I fly home, see the peeps. Um, there's also probably actual snow in Michigan, unlike here. So that'd be
All
nice.
right. So that is holiday this or that fashion dolls, and those are his choices. Now, bit of
Woo!
advice for those of you who are trying to fly home. It is the worst. We know the airports are going to be extremely packed. The lines are going to be crazy as well too. So book your flights in advance, 3 months ahead. Shout outs to my girl Ray. She suggested that as well too. So make sure you guys go ahead and get your tickets in advance because you do not want to be staying there overtime or your flight gets delayed and you're stuck in the airport for the Christmas holidays. And Christmas will be here before you know it. Like we've got next week and then Christmas is Sunday. So get your stuff in advance. Please book in advance if you're going home. Or you have some people who are saying they're going to drive home for the Christmas holidays.
Oof. Yeah, no, it's because it looks cute in the Hallmark movie, being trapped at the airport, being trapped at the airport in real life. That
At
ain't
all.
it.
All right, fashion dolls. Do we have any other questions for Billy? This was such a great and informative conversation, and we hope that you all took something away from it. 100%. Hi, D Brown, actor, singer. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining in, we are here with activist and adult film star Billy Short, ladies and gentlemen. So if you guys have any questions for him, we just did our holiday this or that, and we're now at the closing point of our interview. So if you guys have any question, this is question hour. This was very informative. I've learned some stuff. It was very taboo, but it was very informative also as well too. Stuff I already knew. But we got to touch on it because I'm gonna add one more point. Colorism comes in any form, and racism as well too. Working in the fashion business, me working in the fashion industry, I've seen it on all sides of it, and we've seen these designers, certain designers do not want us wearing their garments. If you know, you know. And I've already posted it and said which fashion brands and houses I will not support because they don't want us wearing their garments. They want a certain specific epidemic or yeah, a certain, you know, wearing their disease. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But there's racism on all aspects. It doesn't matter what field you're in, fashion or the adult entertainment industry or beauty, the beauty industry, the beauty aspects, because you guys know me as a beauty and style influencer. But I get it on all sides of the spectrum, being black, being trans, being a woman. So yeah, I've encountered it. I just never spoke about it publicly, but that's my transparency on it. Sounds like a great topic too. Lay it. I'll definitely watch it back later. No, you guys, if you have time, you can ask myself or Billy some questions. But it was very informative, very informative.
And it honestly, I thank you for your transparency too. It's because that's the thing, right? It's that's what I was saying earlier. It's knowing those mental barriers you have to put up for yourself, and also you can respectfully say, "Hey, you keep doing you, but I'm not. If you're gonna treat me like this, then I'm not there." That's just how it's got to be. And thank you for the
You're
transparency.
welcome. Yeah, I don't talk about it a lot because I already know what they if you're a woman in this industry and you're black, they're gonna label. And I said this Monday. We already know if you say something or speak out, they're gonna label you as these three little letters: A, B, W. If you know, you know. And I've spoken it multiple
It
times.
is,
It's almost like I'm a broken record.
and that's the problem too, right? It's because they love to gaslight you. They'll be like, "Well, I wish you would have told me that," and then as soon as you tell
That didn't
them,
happen.
cut you
Yeah.
off. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's insane. Um, but yeah, no. And also, I see y'all too. Thanks for popping in. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm
Yes,
chilling.
respect is even due to a dog. Absolutely, V Brown singer. Support your own. And I support sex workers. I have colleagues that are in the adult entertainment industry. Like I said, I've had adult performers here on this platform. And there's no discrimination. Star by Stevie is a home created for everyone. If you come in with love, I will welcome you with love. But yes, I support adult entertainment. People have to make their money anyway by any means necessary because the way gas prices and stuff was going up, it was crazy. We're living in times of uncertainty. So things are going up sky high. The cost
Yeah,
of living is going up sky high, and people have to make their money by any means. I don't care what you do. Do what you do. Just make sure that you are supporting your family. Make sure that you are supporting each other, and make sure, more importantly, that you have a roof over your head because it's hard for people out here nowadays. We're living in times of uncertainty.
it is. It's it's the way, like, let's say even today, right? And this is what I tell. What is your dream role character? Ooh, that's a question. So I'll get back to what I was gonna say later. But my dream role character, hmm, I my dream role character. If I could play a character, oh, that's hard. It's like a pre-existing character, right? Because I have the characters I've created that I'd like to play as. Let me think. I think I would love
I could
Static.
see that.
I would take it. They wouldn't even have to convince me. They'd be like, "What's the?" I'd be like, "Don't even tell me the script." I hope we get a good writer, right? Hopefully, we could get a good one. But yeah, I'd be Static. I'd love to do a Candyman.
I
The new
was
Candyman
just about to
movie.
say that. Oh my God, because you kind of resemble him. I'm pretty sure you get that a lot. You resemble Yaya a
You're talking
little.
about.
Yes. Do you get that?
I love him so much. That's the biggest compliment. It's because that man is fine. That man is so fine. Yaya might actually be the new Wonder Man for Marvel. So I guess I got to go do a little bit more research on Wonder Man. What about you though? What's your
My
dream role
dream
character?
my dream role character, because I have done some acting. I did a horror film back in 2021. My dream role character, because I played a college professor in that project, but my dream role would either be some type of, if you like Game of Thrones, it would be like a goddess like character. So I would like to do something like that, a little out of my element. Or either, if you've seen the Devil Wears Prada, it would be like a Lady Eloise type character where she walks in, she owns this big cosmetics company, and she's, something like that, something fun, a little bit out of my element. Whereas, I played a college
There
professor
we
for ethics.
That's dope though. I vibe with that. Goodness, yeah, no, because I was thinking about my answer too. I was like, either I'm gonna be the hero or I'll be the Candyman, so the villain. But like, you gotta have an idea and a range, right? Let me see. We got another oh, my Twitter. My Twitter is Billy Short 13. It's spelled Bylly, so two Y's, Short 13. Um,
I would say it's, it's,
you
it's hot. That's
have
why I
been
was
warned.
fanning myself. It's hot.
Mm, You know what? Here, I'll put it in the chat. You have been warned. Met Tony, gonna be on Mad Queen Project.
Marcus Head, the Good Head
Ooh.
podcast. Definitely go and check that out. He's interviewed some amazing people. Hayward Nelson, you guys remember the show What's Happening? He was on there, and a few others. Definitely go and check it out. Comedian Darren Fleet was also on there as well too. And,
Hey, it's a
and he
vibe.
got a question for you. He has a question for you.
Oh, oh yes. Playoff drug dealer who owns a strip club and do into shady things. Could I do that? I could do that. Yeah. My thing is, I mean, to be fair, I can do shady things. And owning a strip club, that's the dream. There's two dreams. Dream one, own a comic book store, write comic books. Dream two, own a strip club that doubles as a bar. So like from 5 to 7, we've got the bar, and then like on Fridays we have a burlesque show, and then Saturdays we just have the strippers coming out. Then it would be an LGBTQI plus friendly bar too, so we'd have all kinds of strippers and all kinds of burlesque. Hell, I might even do drag brunch Sundays. But again, hear me out. Those are the dreams. Now, could I play off that? Yeah, I can do that. I'm down for it. Let's go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any more questions for myself or Billy? This was such an amazing conversation. This entire week has been amazing. The lineup for all this week. He says, casting next month, we should definitely talk.
Bet. I'll toss you a
Yes.
follow. I'll get you
I've
up.
interviewed Marcus. Marcus was on the show. And we had a great time, an amazing time. Yes, this week, this whole lineup, this completes. Gotta head to the stew. Catch y'all later. All right, my love. Thank you. Thank you, V Brown actor. All right, do we have any last thoughts for Billy or myself? This was such a great conversation, very informative. Watch from beginning to end. We've covered a number of things from racism to colorism to being in the adult entertainment business. I'm not. My mama killed me, child. Jordan, yes, my mama is a Bible woman. Yeah, but me, I'm Christian, but I'm spiritual. I'm a little bit more lenient, but I've gotten in tune with my sexuality and I'm confident with it. And I love myself. So absolutely. Good show.
Yeah. And that's first, that's all you can ask for, to be clear. Comfortable and confident in who you are. That's beautiful.
Ali Yankee wants to know where is my invite to New York?
You know what? You get over here in New York and you let me know. We can check it out. I've got the spot, right? So on Pink Metal in Brooklyn, solid bar. Love the staff. The staff love me. They do nothing but kink stuff there.
What was that you were saying? Because you must have got a call.
Yeah, I did. Did you
Yeah,
miss that last bit? Oh, my bad. So I said Pink Metal in Brooklyn. They do nothing but kink stuff there. Fly through. It's a vibe. Like Saturdays is Bussy Bingo, hosted by Miss Bussy and Zaddy Addy. You can find them on Instagram at those names. Love both of them. Both of them are drag performers. That's dope. On Mondays, they have a fetish figure art drawing. So it's like a sip and paint, except for it's kinky. And then they have a number of burlesque shows there. It's a vibe. Like I said, if you're in New York, hit me up. We can go. I'm on vacation until
all
next
right, and
year.
there's his Twitter pin also as well to let everyone know your platforms, your outlets, so that they can follow, so that they can go subscribe and check out everything.
Oh, yeah. Let me do that, right? So I've got you can get me here on Instagram. This is my public facing Instagram. I do have another one, but it is just the same. What's pinned is my other Instagram. Same stuff. The only difference is Instagram likes to shadow ban me and threaten to kick off my account sometimes. So if you ever see my page disappear, that's why. But that's why I have the private one. It's not like there's anything different on that account. It's the same stuff. That name there also will bring you to my TikTok and my Twitter. So TikTok is mostly me doing cosplay. So you'll see me doing my MF Doom, Dr. MF Doom cosplay. You will see me doing Spider-Man over and over and over again. I do Luke Cage when I can because it's an easy cosplay. I just put on a yellow shirt. And currently I'm going to be I'm going to be working on creating a static cosplay, and I will be working on making a oh probably a Cyclops cosplay. We'll see. I try to mostly cosplay black characters. It's because black comic book characters
Yes.
deserve the light, and the resistance is Storm. I love Storm. Now, if you're looking for kinkier stuff, I do have OnlyFans and Just for Fans. Unfortunately, I do not have my X videos page up and running yet, but it will be soon. So you can find that in my link tree in my
All
bio.
right, Fashion Dog. He said he's from Barbados and NYC, so I'm always down. All right.
Let's go.
All right, Fashion Dog. Any final thought for people? Because you have such a lively personality, Billy, and I said it was going to be fun when we first met, and I reached out to you. What advice would you give to people who have the holiday blues? Last thoughts for today, closing out the interview. What advice would you give to people who are just down in the dumps about the holidays? Because I've seen people post some things and I'm just like, what can I do to make them happy?
See, I would say that if you are experiencing that, first of all, acknowledge it, right? Uh, don't trick yourself into making your feelings invalid. That's true. It's been a rough holiday season for me, mostly because around this time last year, I got into a relationship that I thought was good, and it was, surprise, surprise, toxic. So now, have those memories back. Also, unfortunately, last November, two of my childhood icons passed away, that being Jason David Frake and Kevin Conroy. Oof, that one hurt. So, like I said, acknowledge those emotions. They're real, right? They are real emotions, and then do not get stuck in them. That's what I always say. Acknowledge that it's a real thing you're feeling, but don't let it hold you down from doing something. For me, that means getting up and going to the gym to just exude energy. That means reading a comic book. That means not only reading a comic book, going to, shameless plug, Anyone Comics, which is my comic book store here in Brooklyn, going there and chatting with my peeps who work there and just shooting the shit, right? So find a passion, get going, move on, and at the same time, let yourself feel it. Let
Happy.
yourself be upset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Fashion Dolls, that is his final thought for today. Special thanks to Glam, my makeup artist and beauty contributor here, styled Melanie Nella, my Bridges, for making sure that we've been right all throughout this week. Monday, we have Dano, Jason, and Zell Cross from Fatal Attraction. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Make sure you guys stay tuned throughout the week. We have some amazing guests. And season 17 of Style by Stevie is slowly approaching. My 17th season in the new year of 2023 is coming soon. So I'm going to keep posting those reminders to remind you guys. That means new fresh faces, new fashions, because boy, the looks for this season, you might want to stay tuned. I'm like Beyonce. I don't reveal
Ooh.
everything, but you guys just stay tuned for that. I love you all, and you guys have a safe and blessed weekend. Prepare for the holiday season. And Billy, it was such an amazing time with you. I had a great time, and we got to do this again in the future.
Yes, please. It was fun. I had fun here. It's also thrilling repartee. I love discussions, right? I think that, honestly, to have a talk that's serious, right? And talking about real stuff, but at the same time, giving out good advice, love it. This was nothing but good energy. So if you are coming here from my page, by the way, be sure to give her a follow. It's because she has nothing but good content.
And I appreciate it, yes, because your followers, as soon as you jumped on with me, they started coming in. It was a mix of both of our followers together. So, yeah.
Go follow. I'm
And I
telling you.
appreciate it. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Billy Short, make sure you guys go follow, subscribe to his OnlyFans, check out everything that he's doing. And if you guys are interested, if you need to know more about staying healthy during intimacy, Billy has that. So definitely go and check it out. Definitely. Make sure you guys are being safe out here during the holiday season. I love you guys, and we will see you guys next week. Take care, everyone.